Success is something you attract by the person you become. Not by begging, not by hustling blindly, not by knocking on every door with desperation. No, success comes quietly to the man who prepares himself for it. You don't chase it. You earn the right to it. Now, let me say something that might sting a little. You don't get what you want. You get what you are. If your habits are weak, your results will be weak. If your thinking is shallow, your rewards will be shallow. You want success to come knocking? Then become the kind of person it wants to visit. Most people are busy decorating the outside while the inside remains unchanged. But success doesn't care about decoration, it cares about development. The man who becomes disciplined, focused, intentional, that's the man who attracts the right people, in the right opportunities, the right life. The world responds not to noise, but to value. So don't yell louder, build deeper, build your mind, build your character, build your philosophy. That's how you become magnetic, not flashy, but foundational. And I'll tell you this, once you become the kind of person who attracts success, you'll never have to chase it again. Most people set goals like they're writing a shopping list. Things they want, things they desire, things they think will make life easier. But let me tell you something crucial. Don't just set goals for what you'll get. Set goals for what they'll make of you to achieve them. That's where the real treasure is, not in the thing, but in the becoming. You see, if you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every time. But if you aim at something just out of reach, and you discipline yourself to grow tall enough to reach it, then even if you never get the goal, you still become the kind of person who could have. Now, that's the key to success. Transformation, not just trophies. $1 million in the bank is a great goal, sure. But what's more important is the kind of person you must become to earn it. The person who develops financial discipline, who learns value, negotiation, vision, and service. Because if someone gave you the million, but you didn't earn it, you'd lose it. Why? Because your habits haven't changed. But when you become the person who attracts wealth, then you're not afraid of losing it, because you know how to build it again. I remember when I set a goal early in life, modest at the time, but it forced me to do things I wasn't used to. I had to read more. I had to wake up earlier. I had to learn how to say no to the wrong invitations. I had to sharpen my speech, polish my manners, and strengthen my thinking. And you know what? I hit that goal, but it almost didn't matter because who I had become was so much more valuable than the thing I got. That's the secret. Your goals are just tools to pull out the greatness in you. That's why you must stop choosing goals based on convenience. Don't ask, what can I do easily? Ask, what's the kind of goal that in chasing it will require me to upgrade everything? My habits, my knowledge, my mindset, my associations. Because if you set a small goal, you only stretch a little. But if you set a goal that makes you tremble a bit, makes you sweat a little when you say it out loud, that's the one. That's the goal that'll draw out the greatness. Never forget this, achieving a goal isn't the reward. Becoming the person worthy of the goal, that's the reward, and that's where wealth begins. You can work hard every day of your life, put in the hours, show up on time, and still fall short if your philosophy is off. You see, it's not just what you do, it's how you think about what you do that determines your future. It's the lens through which you view effort, discipline, money, time, opportunity. That's where the real game is played, between your ears. Your hands follow your mind. If the thinking is wrong, the results will be wrong. I used to think that life would get better if I just worked harder. So I worked harder, but not smarter, not with clarity, not with a philosophy that built wealth. I was sincere, but I was sincerely wrong. I thought having a job was security, that showing up was enough, that income came from effort alone. But effort without direction is wasted. That's like rowing a boat with no compass. You're moving, but you're lost. Then I learned that the major difference between where I was and where I wanted to be wasn't effort, it was philosophy. The wealthy and the successful weren't working more hours than me. They were thinking differently. They had philosophies rooted in ownership, leverage, discipline, and value. They didn't just trade time for money. They built systems. They created value. They understood compound growth, and they guarded their mindset like it was treasure. That's when I began to shift my own. I stopped saying I can't afford that and started asking, how can I afford that? I stopped asking, why is life so hard? And started asking, what skill do I need to make this easier? That little shift in language, that's philosophy in action. It starts small, but it rewires everything. If your philosophy says money is evil, you'll push it away. If your philosophy says wealth is the result of service and growth, you'll chase it wisely. If your philosophy says you're a victim of circumstances, you'll wait. If your philosophy says you're a creator of circumstances, you'll act. Philosophy is what determines whether you plant in the spring or sit and complain about last winter, whether you save or spend, whether you learn or coast. It's quiet, but it's the root of everything else. You want to change your income? Change your philosophy about value. You want to change your relationships? Change your philosophy about communication. You want to build wealth? Start with how you think about money, time, effort, and discipline. Because your future doesn't start with what's in your wallet, it starts with what's in your mind. Success is not some mysterious accident. It's not found in a lottery ticket or a lucky break. It's built, and the best part is it leaves clues, clear ones, patterns, footprints in the sand. But here's what most people do. They guess, they experiment with failure, they try to figure it all out from scratch as if history hasn't already handed them a blueprint. And that's the tragedy, because the path has already been walked, the wisdom already spoken, the strategies already tested. You just have to humble yourself enough to study them. When I first started out, I had ambition, but no direction. Saying, hey, I was working hard, showing up, saying yes to every job, but I wasn't getting anywhere. Then someone told me, if you want to be successful, find someone who's already achieved it and do what they did. That changed everything. I started reading books, not fiction, not gossip, books on achievement, biographies of the wealthy, journals of inventors, speeches of leaders. I found clues in every one of them. I noticed that the successful didn't rise by accident. They had routines. They woke up with purpose. They set goals. They read. They invested. They reviewed. They planned. These weren't guesses. These were habits, disciplines, philosophies in motion. They weren't trying. They were executing on principles that had already been proven. And that's what I began to do. Not copy blindly, but model wisely. I didn't have to invent success. I had to interpret it. I studied Carnegie. I studied Henry Ford. I studied those who built fortunes from nothing. What did they have in common? Long-term vision, relentless discipline, high standards, an obsession with growth. They didn't just know what they wanted. They studied how to become the kind of person who could get it. They didn't chase money. They chased mastery. And wealth followed. Don't guess your way through life. Don't wing your career. Don't leave your finances to chance. Study what works. Study the wealthy, how they think, how they spend their mornings, how they speak, how they manage failure. Read books that have stood the test of time. Listen to those who've done it, not just those who talk about it. Then take what you learn and apply it fast. Speed of implementation. That's the difference between knowing and becoming. Most people don't improve because they never study improvement. They don't succeed because they never study success. They don't grow because they've never learned how others did. Don't let that be you. One of the greatest dangers to your potential is the easy crowd. The kind that never challenges your habits, never questions your progress, never pulls you forward. And let me tell you, it feels good to be around people who clap for your mediocrity. It feels safe to be the best in the room. But if you're the smartest one at the table, you're sitting at the wrong table. Growth does not happen where it's easy. Growth happens where there's friction, where you're confronted, where you're stretched. When I first started working on myself, I noticed something strange. The more serious I got about improvement, the more uncomfortable I became around certain people. Friends I used to spend hours with, conversations that used to amuse me, suddenly felt like a trap. They were easy, comfortable, but they weren't going anywhere, and if I stayed, neither would I. That's when I made one of the hardest decisions. I stopped showing up to comfort and started showing up to challenge. I found rooms where I wasn't the best, where I had to rise to meet the standard instead of being the standard. That's when I started growing for real. The easy crowd will soothe your laziness. The right crowd will expose it. The easy crowd will let your bad habits slide. The right crowd will confront them. See, being around high caliber people doesn't just inspire you, it pressurizes you. Their consistency makes your inconsistency obvious. Their standards reveal how low yours have become, and their success forces you to face your excuses. That's the environment that breeds growth. Don't misunderstand. This isn't about competition. This is about elevation. Iron sharpens iron, but only if it's close enough to strike. You want to get better? Then sit with those who are already better than you. Ask questions. Listen more than you speak. Study how they think, how they plan, how they recover from setbacks. You'll start to notice patterns. You'll start to notice your own excuses, and eventually you'll rise, not because someone dragged you, but because you were drawn to excellence. Now, that won't feel comfortable. And that's the point. Comfort is a slow death. Discomfort is a doorway. Growth does not happen without tension. You want bigger results? Get into rooms where your current self doesn't quite fit. That's how you stretch. That's how you transform. You rebuild by leaving the crowd that tolerates you and joining the one that challenges you. If you want your life to rise, go where you're forced to level up. I used to sit around hoping the economy would get better, that taxes would ease up, that the government would change, that circumstances would somehow bend in my favor. But then I learned something that changed everything. Don't wish it were easier. Wish you were better. That single shift in philosophy flipped my entire world upside down. Because if you get better, everything else gets easier. Not because the world changes, but because you do. You see, most people spend their lives waiting for the load to lighten instead of strengthening their shoulders. They complain about the weight of responsibility, the pressure of expectation, the hardship of success, but they forget the weight never changes. What changes is your capacity to carry it. When I first got into business, it felt like I was drowning in tasks, decisions, and failures. I wished the road was smoother, but I realized the road wasn't going to change for me. I had to change for the road. You want to build wealth? Don't beg for easier conditions. Build stronger habits. You want better health? Don't hope the junk food disappears. Build the discipline to walk past it. You want deeper relationships? Don't wait for others to understand you. Become someone worth understanding. Every time you wish for ease, you rob yourself of the opportunity to evolve. Success doesn't come to those who wait for ideal conditions. It comes to those who become ideal candidates, mentally, emotionally, financially. So how do you do it? Start small. Improve one thing daily. One discipline, one thought pattern, one decision, and over time, as you get better, the world begins to look more cooperative, not because it changed, but because you outgrew your old limitations. I remember when I used to fumble with planning my day. I wished for more time, wished for less chaos, but the problem wasn't the day, it was me. I didn't know how to manage. I didn't prioritize. So I stopped wishing and started learning. I studied how successful people handle time. I adjusted, and soon I was doing twice as much in half the time. The day didn't shrink, I got stronger. Wishing is easy, getting better is harder, but only one of them pays dividends. So take your energy out of the wishing jar and put it into the building bucket. Read more, practice harder, fail faster, learn deeper. Because life isn't going to slow down. It's your job to speed up, not with hustle, but with mastery. If you want life to get easier, you must get better. If you don't sit down and deliberately craft your own life plan, I promise you this, someone else will hand you theirs. And here's the catch. They've got their goals in mind, not yours. You'll become a piece in their puzzle. You'll help them build their dream while yours sits in the attic collecting dust. It's not that people are malicious. Most of them are just moving along with their own agendas. But if you don't have a plan, you'll end up living inside theirs. And they rarely cast you as the lead. Now, let me tell you what changed everything for me. I got clear. I got serious. I stopped drifting and started designing. I grabbed a pen and began to write out what I wanted my days to look like, what kind of man I wanted to become, what kind of wealth I wanted to build, and why. That one act designing my life put me in control. Clarity is power. When you know what you want, you filter everything through that vision. Opportunities don't distract you. They get evaluated. People's opinions don't derail you. They get weighed. Time doesn't get wasted, it gets invested. And you stop saying yes to every little thing because your big things are too important. But I meet people every week who've never written down a single goal. They get up, go to work, come home, watch television, go to bed. And they repeat like a loop. Their life is being lived, but not led. And here's the thing, that life plan you never wrote, the cost shows up in your bank account, your health, your emotions, your regret. When I started speaking and building my business, I didn't just hope things would work out. I designed the day. I said from 6 to 8, I study. From 9 to noon, I build. From 1 to 3, I meet. From 5 to 6, I reflect. I structured the day before it started. That design gave me freedom, not restriction. Because when you know where you're going, you don't waste energy on detours. And don't let fear or complexity stop you. Your life plan doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be real. Start with who you want to be, what you want to have, and what legacy you want to leave. Then back it into disciplines and decisions. Write it down, see it daily, adjust as you grow. But make sure you wrote the script, because if you don't, someone else will. You get one life. And if you don't lead it with intention, you'll be directed by distraction. Success is not a destination you chase down. It's a result that follows you when you become the person who attracts it. Too many people have it backwards. They're chasing success like it's something outside themselves, something to be caught. But here's the secret. Success doesn't run from you. It runs towards you when you transform into the kind of person it gravitates toward. If you're constantly running after success, you're missing the point. It's like trying to chase the wind. You can't outrun the wind. You can only learn to harness it. So stop focusing on the pursuit and start focusing on becoming the person who naturally attracts success. Good. This is where most people fail. They think success is a series of transactions, one deal after another, one big score, one lucky break. But I'm telling you, the real power is in who you become along the way. Let me give you an example from my own journey. Early on, I was obsessed with what I could achieve. But after some time, I realized it wasn't the results I was after, it was the transformation. I began to focus on becoming the kind of person who was prepared for success. I worked on my discipline, my attitude, my work ethic, my knowledge, and my capacity to serve. The more I grew, the more success found me, and it wasn't by accident. Success doesn't knock on the door of the unprepared. It knocks on the door of those who have developed the strength, the mindset, and the character to handle it. Let's be clear. You don't become successful because you want money or recognition. You become successful because you've cultivated the habits, mindset, and principles that make you irresistible to success. When you're committed to constant improvement, when you're relentless about growing your character, when you're disciplined about your actions, success has no choice but to follow. Look at those who have achieved great things. They didn't focus solely on the end result. They focused on becoming the right person. Think about someone like Warren Buffett. You think he's just some lucky guy who stumbled into money? No. He spent decades learning, developing, growing his mind, and building character. And guess what? Success became attracted to him. That's the same with every great achiever. Success follows those who have put in the work to become the person that success recognizes. So stop focusing on the result and start focusing on the person you need to become. Improve your discipline, improve your habits, improve your skills. Success doesn't come to those who wait for it. It comes to those who become the kind of people who are worthy of it. That's the key. Work on yourself first and watch success come to you as a byproduct. You won't have to chase it anymore. Success is not a solitary pursuit. It's built on the foundation of service to others. The truth is, you can have everything you want in life, not by hoarding it for yourself, but by helping others get what they want. This is a simple but profound principle that has guided me through my entire journey. The more people you help, the more success finds its way to you. And it's not just about charity or giving without thought. It's about creating value in the lives of others and in turn creating opportunities for yourself. Look at the businesses and individuals who have achieved the highest levels of success. What do they all have in common? They've mastered the art of serving others. Think of Apple, for example. Apple didn't just create products. They solved real problems. They made people's lives easier, more efficient, and more enjoyable. Apple didn't focus on selling as much as they focused on providing something valuable to their customers. The result? An empire built on trust and loyalty. And it's not just in business. In every area of life, when you focus on helping others get what they want, you build relationships that bring success your way. You become the kind of person that people want to work with, invest in, and support. When people see you genuinely interested in their well-being, in solving their problems, they naturally want to see you succeed. That's how you build trust, and trust is the currency of success. I remember when I started out in my career, I didn't focus solely on what I could get for myself. I focused on how I could help others, how I could make their lives better, more successful, and more fulfilling. In doing so, I created a network of people who trusted me, supported me, and shared opportunities with me. The more I helped, the more I found myself in the right place at the right time. Opportunities flowed to me because I was always looking for ways to add value to others. And here's the thing. The marketplace rewards those who are valuable, and it's the simple law of supply and demand. If you provide value to the world will reward you. This isn't about selfish ambition or manipulating people. It's about becoming genuinely valuable to others. Whether it's in business, relationships, or your community, the more you help people achieve their goals, the more the universe will align with you to bring your own dreams to fruition. So, if you're feeling stuck, if you feel like success is always just out of reach, ask yourself this question. How can I serve others better? What value can I bring to the table? The answer to that question is the key to unlocking everything you want in life. Service is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Focus on making a difference in someone else's life and watch how the doors to your success begin to open. You can have everything you want if you're willing to help enough people get what they want.